There are places on Earth where the entire global economy squeezes through a gap so small, so fragile, that one wrong move could ripple across continents within hours. The Strait of Hormuz is one of those places. Nearly a fifth of the world's oil passes through this narrow corridor every single day. Tankers carrying the fuel that powers cities, industries and entire nations all funnel through just a few miles of open water. It's not just a shipping route, it's a pressure point. And every time tensions rise in the Middle East, the world is reminded how dangerously exposed this system really is. Because here's the truth most people don't think about. The modern global economy isn't just built on trade, it's built on geography. And sometimes geography creates bottlenecks that are almost impossible to escape. Before we go deeper into one of the most ambitious engineering ideas ever proposed, take a second to like the video, share it with someone who enjoys deep dive documentaries like this, drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you think and keeps content like this coming. Now, let's get into it. The Persian Gulf is home to some of the most powerful energy producers on the planet. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates collectively pump out vast quantities of oil that keep the global system running. But almost all of that oil has to leave through a single exit point: the Strait of Hormuz. At its narrowest, the strait is just 21 miles wide. But for ships, the usable lanes are far tighter, really only a couple of miles in each direction. That's where tens of millions of barrels of oil pass through every day. And honestly, that concentration creates risk on a scale that's hard to overstate. This is why even the hint of instability here sends shockwaves through global markets. It's not just about geopolitics, it's about supply chains, fuel prices, food costs, and ultimately the cost of living across the world. So, naturally, countries have tried to find ways around it. Some pipelines already exist. Saudi Arabia can redirect part of its oil to the Red Sea. The UAE has built infrastructure leading to the port of Fujairah, bypassing the strait entirely. But these alternatives only cover a fraction of the total volume. The vast majority still depends on ships navigating this narrow corridor. And that brings us to one of the most radical ideas ever proposed. At the northern tip of Oman sits the Musandam Peninsula, a rugged, mountainous region that juts into the Strait of Hormuz. On a map, something stands out immediately. The distance between the Persian Gulf and the open waters of the Gulf of Oman is surprisingly short. In some places, just a few dozen miles. Which raises a bold question. What if ships didn't have to pass through the Strait of Hormuz at all? What if you could carve a canal straight through Musandam? On paper, it sounds like a masterstroke, a direct passage that allows oil tankers to bypass one of the world's most dangerous choke points entirely. A route that could stabilize global energy flows and reduce geopolitical risk overnight. But this is where reality pushes back hard. The Musandam Peninsula isn't flat desert. It's part of the Hajar Mountains, one of the most unforgiving terrains in the region. These aren't gentle hills. These are steep, jagged limestone mountains rising over 2,000 meters above sea level. Building a canal here wouldn't be like expanding the Panama Canal or upgrading the Suez Canal. It would mean, well, cutting through entire mountain systems, and not just any canal. We're talking about one capable of handling massive oil tankers, including VLCCs, some of the largest ships ever constructed. That means extreme depth, massive width, and engineering precision on a scale rarely seen before. The amount of excavation required would be honestly staggering. Entire sections of mountains would need to be blasted and removed. The environmental impact would be enormous, and the cost? Likely in the hundreds of billions of dollars. But even if the engineering challenge could somehow be overcome, another obstacle stands in the way: politics. The Musandam Peninsula belongs to Oman, a nation that has taken a relatively cautious and balanced approach to regional tensions. There is no active plan to build such a canal. And, for good reason. A project of this scale wouldn't just be about construction. It would require long-term security guarantees, multinational investment, and deep cooperation across a region that is often defined by strategic rivalry. And there's an even deeper issue that often gets overlooked. A canal doesn't eliminate risk, it relocates it. Instead of relying on the Strait of Hormuz, the world would rely on a single artificial waterway, and, like any canal, it would still be vulnerable. A grounded tanker, sabotage, or even a natural disaster could shut it down just as effectively. So, in the end, the world wouldn't remove a choke point. It would simply replace one with another. And that's why this idea keeps resurfacing, despite its enormous challenges. Because it represents something bigger than just infrastructure. It reflects a fundamental truth about global trade. That even in an age of advanced technology, satellites, and global logistics networks, we are still deeply constrained by geography. Narrow passages, strategic corridors, natural bottlenecks that quietly dictate the flow of energy and power across the planet. For now, the Strait of Hormuz remains exactly what it has always been, one of the most critical arteries of the global economy, and one of its most dangerous vulnerabilities. But as long as that vulnerability exists, the idea of bypassing it will never truly disappear. If you found this breakdown valuable, don't forget to subscribe, share this with someone who enjoys deep geopolitical and history content, and drop a comment with your thoughts. Would a Musandam canal change the world, or just create a new risk? Let's talk.